Hello and welcome back for another episode of the Newbie Dentist Weekly Mentorship Series. I'm Dr. Omid Azami. In this week's episode, I wanted to talk about dealing with setback in clinical procedures and some strategies around how you can progress and move past these setbacks. To talk about this, I wanted to center the talk around a quote from Ray Dalio, who is a hedge fund manager and author of Principles, where he talks about different business strategies and some of the lessons that he's learned in running Bridgewater Associates, which is one of the largest hedge funds in the history of the United States. One of his go-to quotes in the book and in practice is pain plus reflection equals progress. Pain plus reflection equals progress. And what that means for us as clinicians is that there are going to be times where certain clinical procedures don't go as planned, or we have a complication, or things take longer than we planned them to, and the outcome may not be as favorable as we had originally hoped for. So this happened to me, and I know it happens to all of us early on, where we're doing a root canal and we can't finish the case, or we obturate and we're short of the apex, or we're doing a surgical extraction and it takes too long and we face complications of infections or bleedings, and it kind of puts us off doing those procedures, and we think that, oh, maybe we shouldn't do that anymore, or it's not worth the stress, it's not worth the hassle. The other approach to it is we do these procedures, we do make these mistakes, and instead of thinking about it from a negative approach, we actually approach it from one of learning. So we go home after the procedure or after the procedure is done, and we're doing our notes for the patient. We should reflect on what just happened, why it happened, and what you learned from that mistake or that procedure. It's that pain that happened and then the reflection that ensued that can lead you to progress and not make those same mistakes again. I remember early on, and it happens to everyone, you have those highs and lows of emotion. So you'll have one clinical week where everything goes well and you're on top of the world, and you think you've kind of come over the hump and you're doing procedures really well and you're happy with that. And then you run into a roadblock and you stumble, or you separate an instrument doing endo treatment, or one of your composites come back with post-op sensitivity, whatever the case may be, and you may be put off, or you may have to re-question everything. And I remember I was doing an extraction, surgical extraction. This is probably about 2.5 years ago. And it took me a while and it didn't go well. And I was a bit too stressed during the whole thing. And afterwards I was like, oh man, I don't really enjoy doing surgery and this is not for me. And I posted as such on the Newbie Dentist Instagram page. And I'll never forget this. A dentist from the US sent me a DM and called it procedural PTSD, which I thought was an interesting approach or perspective of it. And his recommendation was, in order to get over this, you need to get back on the horse right away. So the next opportunity that you have to do a surgical procedure, don't shy away, dive into it and try it again, and try and not make the same mistakes that you made last time. And I thought that was great advice, because a lot of us, myself included, may have the inclination of once or twice, if something doesn't go well, we're like, oh, that's not for me, I'm just not going to do that anymore. Instead of reflecting on why we don't enjoy it or why we made mistakes, and using that to progress in terms of our learning and in terms of our clinical outcomes. So that's it for this week. Pain plus reflection equals progress. Have a think about that. Let me know what you think in the comments, or send me a message on Instagram. And I think it's a really useful way of rephrasing or reframing in your mind how to deal with setbacks within a clinical setting or other aspects of your life. Really take the time to analyze why certain things didn't go well, why complications were had, why mistakes were made, and how and what actions can you take to not repeat that in the future. Have a great week, and I'll talk to you guys next time.
Thank you for tuning in for another episode of the Newbie Dentist podcast. Please be sure to subscribe and head over to iTunes and give the show a 5-star rating. For all show notes and to access all previous episodes, head over to www.newbiedentist.com. Have a great day.